I love talking to Clare Rowe, our mate who was a child psychologist, but she's so much more than that. And lovely to see her. Another person in lockdown. Everyone looking better than I do in lockdown right now. Now, Clare, kids and COVID. Okay, now, as you know, as everyone knows right now, and no, this is not me just using a free session of a mate through the telly, right? Although you can always send the bill to Sky. So I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Everyone does it, Paul. Everyone does it. Don't worry.
6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and both of them know way too much about COVID. They're too aware of COVID. They know about China. They know about everything to do with it, and they also know about all of the different precautions and the mask on, the mask off, and the keep away from each other. I hate that this has been introduced to kids. But I don't know, maybe it's, the schools have to teach them how to stay away from each other, the daycare centre, whatever. How do you feel about how we should be talking to our kids, even this far in, about why they're not allowed to leave the house?
Yeah, well, I mean, like it does with other things, with climate change and other topics kids are involved in, politics, etc., that I don't think they should be. I think it comes down to the age of the kid. So, look, if you've got a preschool age kid, personally, I don't think they should know about COVID. Okay. The 3-year-old, the 4-year-old that I've got at home, I don't think they should know about COVID. Now, you shouldn't be mentioning it, talking about it, I guess, until you need to. But you've got to remember, for the majority of these kids' kind of memory-filled lives, people have worn masks. So personally, I think a lot of kids at that age aren't really asking because it's just kind of normal, which is kind of sad. But they're not asking a lot. But personally, I think if they do ask, you say something along the lines of, darling, some people have a cold. We just want to make sure we don't get sick. Full stop.
Good.
So unfortunately, this has been taken out from under kind of parental decision making. My kids have come home from school last year, preschool. Mummy, do you have coronavirus? We learned about coronavirus. And it's all just started off again at their preschool this week. Now, not to blame the wonderful, wonderful staff at my kids' preschool. Love them. Hi. But I think they're following a curriculum. I think they actually have to teach this stuff. They actually were doing activities this week, Paul, where, the glitter that you think as a parent, great, you can play with glitter at school because glitter goes everywhere.
Thank you.
Hate glitter.
Keep it away from me.
They were doing experiments with glitter where they kind of showed kids that glitter is like germs.
Oh.
So let's see how it spreads and how everything you touch now has glitter on it. My 4-year-old comes home and is just checking everything for germs.
Yeah.
So, preschool age, you just don't talk about it, right? And you just say, some people have got a cold, darling, we have to wear a mask. And we're taking a couple of breaks off soccer and dancing classes. We're just having a break. That's
Also,
it, okay?
What sucks all over the country is, depending on where you are, you're either just about to or you're in the middle of school holidays right now. So all the normal fun stuff that you would be able to do, and even if you're not able to do the fun stuff and you're just sort of shuffling between family members' houses, it is profoundly different. It is just like last year. How do we make sure that to the primary school age kid, you can't pretend it's not going on. They've heard it all before. But how do you make sure that they don't start catastrophizing the world? Because, if you and I grew up, we were told to sort of stay home for 2 hours, it would have been weird. To be told to stay at home for 2 weeks would do your head in.
Yeah, absolutely. And the simplistic answer to that, Paul, like all other topics that I chat about, is you watch your own reactions, you watch your own emotions, and you keep yourself under control, right? So you watch the conversations you're having with your partner and your friends or on the phone, or the whinging about it, joking to a girlfriend on the phone, oh, God, we've got to stay home all week, this is terrible. So you watch your own language because kids pick up on it. Okay, so whether you're anxious about COVID, Trump coming back, or climate change, whatever it is, you really watch the language in front of your kids. You don't bring politics into it when chatting to your kids about COVID, whether you agree with, Gladys or Palaszczuk, it doesn't matter. You keep it simple. But yeah, you really, kids will pick up on how you're managing a situation, okay? So you've really got to try and say, look, I know this is difficult, it's hard, but we'll get through it. And at the end of the day, I know it is difficult, and look, families I'm working with have maybe 4 or 5 kids. I worked with a family today that have 4 boys, under the age of kind of 14 down to 6 at home. I'm like, oh, it's a nightmare. But at the end of the day, this does create some opportunity to kind of create some resiliency, that it's not the end of the world. We will get through it. It's okay. There are, certainly some perspective. There are previous generations have been through worse, guys. We can do this type of thing. But it is hard. And I work on the basics with parents, and I say, try and get those 14-year-olds out of their room for a bit. Try and have breakfast, lunch, and dinner at around the same time. But also, if they watch a bit of extra TV and they're doing a bit of extra screen time these days, you can get rid of the parental guilt. It's okay.
Yeah, correct. Fancy Nancy getting a good run in our joint. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you. Clare Rowe, our psychologist friend. So much to talk about. One day I look forward to it being here in the man cave when, the Wu flu and all the rest of it goes.